That's what I was doing.
All right, we're ready.
You were. Can we go over this last week?
I've been running.
Mr. President?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's roll.
We're
We're
ready?
ready.
Good morning,
Yes, sir.
to each and everyone. And we will turn it over now to our very capable city clerk. Thank you so much.
This is the pre-meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, April the 13th. We have approval of minutes from April 6th.
Good job.
Yes.
Appeals, we have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on May the 8th in Cooper Riverside Park from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. May the 8th on Cody Road North from 3 p.m. until 10 p.m. April 17th from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. And this is in the 200 to 210 block of Rapier Avenue. April 24th from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. on Conti Street. No problem?
No issues on my part.
Okay. A public hearing today is a public hearing to fix the cost for demolition of structure at 405 Calhoun Street, 53 South Georgia Avenue, 519 Patton Avenue, 1255 Persimmon Street, 307 Stocking Street, 2108 Bucker Place, 905, formerly known as 1009 Gale Street, and 1365 Glen Street.
I have a question just for clarification. On the Stocking Street, is that a commercial building or a multifamily? What's going on there? I sort of remember, but I'm not sure. There's someone that can answer that? It's almost
David is on.
15K. The
Yes,
307
Yes, this is David
Stocking
with
Street.
Municipal Enforcement. That for 307 Stocking Street, that was a residential structure.
$14,000.
15 almost,
Asbestos.
$5 short. What did that involve that it was so costly?
I'm betting asbestos.
Are you there, Mr.? Are you there, Mr.
Yes,
Davenport?
I'm looking right now, and we had the bids. The lowest bid was $14,995, and that was competitively bidded out. And it was a large two-story structure, and I believe there was some additional debris on the site. But again, it was a large two-story structure, which would be more debris due to the size of the building.
That's high.
Let it be.
It's just so out of character with, most, well, certainly in this list, but I've never seen anything cost that much to demolish.
Mr. President.
Is it Mr. Richardson?
Yes, I would like to ask Mr. Buckenberg, how many bids did we get on this?
Looking at the quotation, the tabulation, it looks like there was only one contractor that put a bid in. Out of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 contractors were sent requests for quotes. 5 of them did not submit a bid. 1 did, which was A, and A. And the cost that the bid that they put in was $14,995. And again, this was a very large 2-story residential structure. And that would be the lowest qualified bid that was selected.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Fred.
Yes. Several weeks ago, there was a house in my district that City Mobile put up for bid. And they had one bidder, and they said they didn't like his bid, and they rejected it.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
ever there was one that needed to be rejected, that's this one. Otherwise, they wouldn't have. This man gonna give the city some money. No, the city gonna pay out money. It's saying yes, yes, we'll pay it. Man got the money to give the city, and the city said, no, we're not taking it. I don't understand. I agree with that. This is out of character.
President,
Mr. Vice President.
hey, Mr. Dockenbach, how often do contractors do not turn in bids to demolish residential? Because I'm just imagining that the reason that the other 5 or 4 did not turn in the bid because it's probably just too much work and they just didn't want to tackle it. So if that's something that is often that is done, that contractors don't turn in bids for demolishing houses, or that happen often, or was it because this particular case that, you know, these contractors did not want to take on this particular job?
And that's a tough question to answer because traditionally, when requests for quotes go out, we receive quotes from multiple contractors. And I think in this particular case, due to the size and the complexity of this demolition, is the reason why we did not see very many, well, only one demolition contractor submit a bid or a quote. And but again, normally we receive multiple quotes and we have competitive bids, but in this case, we've only received one, which was a low qualified bid, the only qualified bid that was selected and went forward with.
Have these guys ever worked for us, David?
The contractors that we send out quotes for are local contractors. They work with us frequently, and again, we receive multiple quotes,
including the A&A. This guy now.
In this case, yes. A&A is a contractor that has worked with the city for demolitions for multiple years. That's my understanding.
Okay, yeah, because those attachments are not in the file. Usually we have a bid sheet or name of a contractor, where he's from, and none of that's in here, which is I found interesting. But anyway, what's the professional opinion of engineering and purchasing and everybody? Because obviously there's a lot of questioning. Is it a fair bid? That's the question.
What's the size of the house? How many
Right,
square
that was
feet?
the question I had. Do we have the square footage?
It's 2 stories, so if you look at the highest bid on here, one was almost 5,000, so you just double it for a 2-story plus extra debris. I mean, I'm afraid it is what it is, and if you don't want to take the bid, you can try again to get a lower bid, but we may come back with the same story.
And as I pull this home up on Google Earth, it is a rather large house. And it's certainly a 2-story, but it's a pretty big house here. It certainly was in bad shape.
Yeah, and plus it's already done, and the contractors in on it. They did not.
That's the key. That's the key. What else did they do? What else did it involve? I thought I heard David say something about there were other mitigating circumstances. So besides the demolition to cart off, and I take it it's the carting off of the home, the pieces of the home. What else was there? We have a file when we call it a nuisance, but all we have is paperwork on the cost. We don't have a picture of it or like its normal file when we call for it.
Now, to answer the question, yes, there's mitigating factors when you have a 2-story structure. And we also have to remember that the demolition, when it's close to other structures that are occupied, it's a complex process to make sure that the contractors have to have the skill set, the knowledge, and the equipment to demolish the structure and not cause damage to the adjacent properties, and that may be a factor in why the bid, in addition to the size of the structure, which I'm looking at the tax assessors, and it's looking like it was 2,347 square feet. So you're looking at a 2,300 square foot house, two-story, that
That's
is
not-
next to other residential structures.
What about other factors that they mitigated? So was there a lot of debris and
I don't see it.
clearing?
And let's lay this thing over till next week. Let them answer the question. Let them research. it a
Right,
bit.
I think, or send us the files too, so we can see what the property was looking like.
Mr. President,
Mr. Daves?
we're sitting here burning
Right.
time on a $15,000 contract that was bid, that we took the lowest bid. It is what it is. We need to move on.
I agree.
And the work's already been done. So,
Right.
Yeah, the house is
Already been
gone. We
done.
can't put it back.
Oh, is it done?
Yeah.
It's just fixing the cost. All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Hell, rock and roll.
It's still educational for me to understand why something costs so staggeringly different, I mean, because in listening to Councilman Richardson, he said that there was a home in his district that they rejected bids. And I don't know if multiple bids came in, so they thought if they rebidded, they would get lower from everyone, or, what the status is. It's glaringly different. In 2000, I thought someone was going to say it was the 4,000 square foot home.
I
Seriously.
did too. 2,000. That's not.
I mean,
big.
that's probably the average of what we do tear down, or maybe it is above. But again, it just seemed like we do commercial and we do multifamily, and we see some higher bids, but I don't remember anything close to 15K. And that's what we're looking at. So additional information would be nice to be able to explain it. It's just interesting to note.
Mr. Doffenbach, any additional information you might be able to share with the council would certainly be appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. President, if the council would like, we can make a copy of the quotes and the bids that did come in, and we can send those out to all the council members for your review.
We
And what
certainly
about
appreciate it.
the file? Can we get the
All of
file?
them. There's
again?
only
Or
one
is-
of them.
Yes, if you're requesting a copy of the entire file, we can do that. We'll have it scanned and sent over to the council for a digital copy for your review.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's not going to answer the question. But
Madam City Clerk?
Hey, we can't hear the city clerk.
Madam City Clerk? Okay.
Okay, the city clerk was muted. Sorry. Lighting on, Gary Miller has signed in to address the council regarding a non-agenda item, lighting on I-165. Lights being reported out, and he reported them to Alabama Power Company. And we did tell him that this was not a city-related issue, but I see Nick is on to speak to this.
If I can provide a quick response, that the lights on I-165 have been resolved. It was a little bit Alabama Power, a little bit City of Mobile, traffic and electrical engineering worked with them and resolved a power supply issue and a fuse issue that was contributing to those particular lights. And just as a little educational, the city unfortunately does have the maintenance responsibility of the federal interstate system. ALDOT does not maintain those lights. So, it's a big task for which Colonel DeLapp and the rest of the administration, traffic engineering, electrical, we are working on a big effort to mitigate that. I know there's lights out all over, keenly aware of it. It's a very, very old system. That's been cut and spliced and put together. So some of it is strictly just bulbs, and then some of it is actually wiring and fuses and other and photocells and things like that. So we're keenly aware of it. That effort is being worked on very, very aggressively by by the administration to try to get it all in a much more operable and, more importantly, less maintenance. Much like the Alabama Power effort that's going around and addressing all the Alabama Power lights to get the LEDs and get those upgraded. That's bringing power costs down, reliability up. We are trying to do the exact same thing with the interstate lights as well.
Mr. President,
Mr. Richardson, then Mr. Vice President, then Ms. Gregg.
yes, Nick, I sent you one last night regarding lights being out on I-65 past Dolphin Street, starting at Dolphin Street past Apple Boulevard and on the east side on up toward Government Street. There are no lights. They're out on I-65. And I reported probably over a year ago, Spring Hill at Mobile Street. And they told me, Nick, last year that the city didn't have a bucket truck. When I asked why couldn't they fix the lights, they told me the city didn't have a bucket truck. But anyway, those lights still out at Mobile Street, at Spring Hill, Mobile Street, at Mobile from Boulevard, and I-65 Service Road, at Marshall Road, where you exit onto I-65 north. They got a cluster of lights, one for them coming off, one for them going on. The cluster where they're coming off is fine. The cluster where they get on the I-65, it's nothing up. There was some hanging wires. It's dark. It's dark. People have to slow down to see, am I getting, because they're right there together. Am I getting on the right one? There's no lights up there. It's about a cluster of about 6 lights up there. All of them gone. And they've been gone for over a year.
Yeah.
And the answer to me was no bucket truck, which is unacceptable. $68 million in reserve. And today, there's a item on here where we're going into the general fund to take money to go do something we need. We can go into the general fund and do something to fix the lights.
Bucket, I can answer a bunch of those questions. A bucket truck is on order. In the interim, we've been using forestry's truck to do those efforts. It is, we're keenly aware of those locations and probably more. I'm just being completely honest with you. It's twofold: old system, bad weather, knocking out the power, trying to convert them again to LED that's more reliable, mowers that might, a mowing effort that might hit a light pole and take out a circuit. If you'll notice that the great big tall light poles, what are referred to as high mast, those are shining bright. That has been the biggest push thus far with the in-house crews to address those, because they provide the greatest amount of coverage. So if you look at right outside Government Plaza on Government Street, and then on the other side of the entrance of the tunnel, many of those lights have been replaced and they're shining bright and it looks like daylight out there at nighttime. Again, because it's one fixture or one light pole with multiple fixtures that can provide a much broader sense. The next effort that this is the effort that I mentioned, I think Colonel Laps has mentioned it to the council past, is being worked on to put out probably to multiple contractors to bid and replace at a large scale the lighting fixtures along the interstate. It's probably, we're anticipating it being north of a $4 million effort. So it is a big effort. The pieces are trying to be pulled together to bring to the council soon. So we hear you. We ask for your patience, and it'll be on your plate as soon as we can get it there, because we see it too. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's challenging in knowing the age of the system. Most of that along the interstate was probably built. It was built when the interstate was built. It's been spliced and repaired and patched. Talking about the wiring over the years, and the fixtures just really need a wholesale, blanket replacement to try to get get some reliability. Right now, unfortunately, it's like we've got a ship out there with 1,000 holes in it. And we're running around putting plugs in it. We fixed 10 light fixtures, and then 10 more go out next week or next month. So it's being worked on. I just ask you to remain patient, and when it does get to the council's agenda, that you expediently approve the contracts that get there.
Mr. President, one more real quick. Nick, I would like for you to give some consideration to giving preference to the U.S. highways running through our city for LED lights. When it comes to Highway 98, almost all of it is lights out, dim lights all the way. These U.S. highways, you have people coming to Mobile and coming through Mobile, and it is a reflection of our city. We get on Highway 45, all the old lights dim. I'm saying we ought to be 90, 98, all our U.S. highways, because that's where people are coming to our city, and it's active all night because people are going to other places. And I'm requesting preference for the U.S. highways.
Can't disagree with you at all. I mean, it's our thought process is to put out probably at least 3 contracts. One that would address the more local routes that are U.S. highways with the big routes. One that would address interstates, and then one that would address other lights that are within the city purview, be it neighborhoods and parks and such stuff as that. So yes, I mean, can't disagree with you at all. And again, what I know I'm asking, and what I'm sure that the rest of the administration is asking, is when those contracts get before you, that you just approve them expediently. Our local contractors can't go out and take on that big of an effort, so we are trying to garner in some more national type electrical contractors, the ones particularly like the ones at Alabama Power that are using for the LED replacement that they're doing. And again, we're trying to get it out to the street, and you should be seeing something in the coming weeks.
All right.
Mr. Vice President, did you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Albert, that's some good news, because I constantly get beat up about lights, especially the ones that's on I-10 near Dolphin Island Parkway, around a little, I call it Spaghetti Junction, where a lot of, several lights are out. And, like Councilman Richardson say, I-10 is very heavy with visitors coming in and out of the city, and a lot of lights is out. And I know it's shared between districts 3 and 4, but that's something we really need to tackle. So let me get a good understanding. The contracts that's coming before the council soon, with these contractors, they will go out, throughout the evenings or night to make sure all the lights are out, or they would just basically go upon like 311 calls?
No, they would start at one end of an electrical circuit of a series of lights and replace all the light bulbs. Just like you go in your house and replace the old style light bulbs with an LED, we would wholesale replace them all, because that ends up being the problem when they've gotten replaced, one here and one there over the time. You constantly have 1 or 2 going out at some other location. So there needs to be a wholesale upgrade to the fixtures themselves, and that's what we're planning. In addition to other repairs, again, where poles have been hit and taken out that it may be broken, a circuit, probably some fuse work, probably some photocell work. I mean, again, you just kind of almost got to, if you think about it like the lighting systems in your house, you got 5 lights on one switch. Well, we might have 50 lights on one switch, but we have hundreds of switches. And so each one of those circuits can be affected by, a break in the line, a lightning strike. It's a whole bunch of variables to it. And right now, unfortunately, we're chasing just light bulbs going out. So the first effort, again, is to deal with primarily just the light bulb, so we know that all that piece is good. And then, but simultaneously deal with some of the other incidental electrical issues that might be taking a circuit of lights out that should otherwise be working.
So I guess my question is the city gonna start on one section of town and just work their way through, or are they just gonna tackle lights that are currently out? Because my concern is that, let's just say you start in West Mobile and the lights is out on I-10 on the DIP, are those bulbs gonna be replaced until that crew leave West Mobile, or the lights need to be replaced now so they're just gonna work on those? Now that's really my question.
Well, it's like, unfortunately, it's like eating a herd of elephants. We got to start eating it somewhere. The bid packages that will go out will have zones. And so, we imagine, say for instance, a contractor that might do the interstate work, we would expect and even actually require within our contracts that there be multiple crews working simultaneously, probably from both ends and in between, and attacking it that way. You just can't realistically expect a crew or two to go out there and tackle that in any type of realistic time frame. I mean, it's going to have to be hit with a great big punch, to get it so that, probably within a 6-month time period, give or take, that the whole system has been gone through and all the fixtures are replaced. And once you know that you've got good light fixtures up there, then if you have a string of lights that aren't working, then you can go and attack that other piece of it that might be a wiring or a grounding rod, or it could be an Alabama power issue coming in. Again, you just kind of have to imagine a whole bunch of series of different lights that are on different switches, and it could be the bulb or it could be something else. We got to get to where we know we've got all good bulbs in there for fixtures, if you will, the LED fixtures, and then work ourselves down to any other issues that might be within the system. But it's we imagine and envision multiple crews, in each contract attacking the various areas, whether they be U.S. highways, interstate systems, or other city facilities that are done. It's basically how Alabama Power is doing it with the lights that they're upgrading for us now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amberger, and I look forward to you addressing Mr. Miller's concerns. He has consistently called my office, emailed my office over the last 7 or 8 months concerning these lights. And so I'm not surprised to see that he signed into the agenda, and I'm hopeful that you'll be able to share this information with him to his satisfaction.
Likewise.
Mr. President.
Ms. Gregg.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I appreciate the information and look forward to having all of these lights replaced. When it does hit our agenda, I would just request that we get details on what the project is and what the lights are going to be, because we do get a lot of phone calls from people reporting lights out, and I would like to be able to give them as much information as possible. They're all going to be LED lights, about how long it's going to take, that kind of thing. And in the meantime, because if this takes 6 months, 7 months, a year, however long this whole process will take, what do we do in the meantime when bulbs have been out for a long time and they are busy east-west corridors that are dark? Are we going to replace any of these bulbs? Are we just going to wait? What do we do in the meantime before all these crews come into town and start replacing the bulbs?
Very good and fair question. I encourage you or your constituents to keep calling 311, and the electrical crews, will address it as they can. Oftentimes, it is just a simple matter of a breaker that's been tripped. If you see a long run that's out continuously, chances are that all those bulbs aren't out. In all likelihood, there's been some weather event that's blown a fuse, tripped a breaker, or something like that. Those can be brought back on very, very, very easily. So keep doing what you're doing. And ask for patience as much as people can and are willing to give, and know that it's being worked on. That's really the best guidance that I can provide.
Well,
Thank you so much.
And Nick, I appreciate your comments, but I think this is probably a mayor project at some point. And I'd encourage the mayor's office. I know they're listening. I see Matt's got his mic off, but This is probably one of those times when we, as a administration and council, need to look at how we can carve some money out somewhere and go at this thing in a really big way. Because we're going to chase our tail for a long, long time, kind of like a drainage project that you have to start, downstream and work your way up. And by the time you get up there, the downstream's broken again. I just encourage the mayor and administration to let's bring something to the council here in the next couple of months about how we can take some of our monies and make an effort. Fred, everybody's right. It's not that we're getting phone calls. It's that the streets of Mobile are not lit. And we just, it's got to be a money issue. It's got to be a contract issue at this point. We certainly can't do it in-house and catch up.
I would say, John, that the mayor is keenly aware of this. It's kind of who's helping to drive this effort right now. It is a big undertaking because, again, it's not 5 or 6 lights here. It's a big scale of us pulling together all the information. So all that's working. I think that's the pieces that'll be coming to you. I've gotten the calls. Colonel Delap's gotten the calls. Traffic and Electrical's gotten the calls directly from the mayor. He sees the same thing. And again, it's been an effort that's been in the works for a couple of months now, and it's getting close to getting to the point that we'll have it in a package in a way to present it to the council for y'all's consideration and action.
Okay, thank you.
Madam City Clerk.
Well, Reggie Hill has also signed for to address the council, and he is addressing the items of 307 Stocking Street, the demolition, and 08252, 4280, and 21258. Essential COVID items held over 40013, declare the structure at 2672 Hayles Street a public nuisance and order it demolished. 01248, authorize agreement with Berry, Dunn, McNeil, and Parker for cost, service analysis, and fee study, Parks Department.
I have a
08249, approve.
Excuse me. I have a question about that
Yes, ma'am.
particular item. Thank you. I know we did a big push to get planning and people coming out. It was pre-COVID on our parks, and we met in different community centers, if you recall. I was wondering if that report is finished. I realize this is to do a fee structure for use of parks and recreational activities. So I know it's different, but it piqued my interest in finding out what was the outcome of that initial study that we engaged the community on. So if there's a report or a summary we could get on that. I don't need it this minute because we're, moving along on the agenda. And I see that Shonda has shined a light and is ready to respond, but I understand the need to get this information from an outside contractor. That's not the issue. Again, I was just curious about the past energy and activity that we had with also an outside contractor. So if there's something that the council could learn from that, that would be great.
Good morning. Yes, that was the systems improvement plan that was done probably about 2 years ago, and I can share that out to the council. It is I may actually need to try to print it. It is a mega sized document. So I will actually get that out to you all today.
Great. Okay. I figured it was finished. We just have never seen the outcome of it or the information that they shared with the administration. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mr. President.
Mr. Vice President.
Ms. Smith, are you still there? Good morning, Ms. Smith. How you feeling?
Good morning.
A question. The senior, and I'm not too sure if you're prepared to answer this question or not, but the senior centers, are they going to be opening anytime soon as far as the, what have been relaxed, from the governor's office?
Yes. So originally it came out from the state that senior centers were not going to be allowed to open They just sent new guidance out Friday. And so April 19th is when senior centers are authorized to open. So we're getting prepared to open April 19th. Senior centers are actually the only one that's still under guidance that people still, even the public, have to wear masks in the buildings, and they still have to go through the checklist. And so we are ramping up to get Trixie, Parkway Senior Center, and Connie Hudson ready to open on Monday, April 19th.
Question.
Yes.
And I will call you if that's okay after this meeting. But the senior center on DIP, we need a grand opening.
Yes.
And we need something that's going to be really nice. So that's something that I really wanted to be big, and also with Representative Barbara Drummond to be there also. So we need to talk it, as soon as possible, because I really want this to be a grand event. And for the ones that do not know what I'm talking about, the several seniors down on the Parkway have been advocating for years for additional room for exercise and et cetera. So last year it was completed, but unfortunately because of the pandemic, the seniors have not used it nor saw the facility, and it's very nice. And it really is a great milestone for that area. And I want a big event for a ribbon cutting ceremony. So if you're available after this meeting, again, I would like to talk to you about it more.
And we have been working on it. We were actually trying to make sure that we can get Representative Drummond. Her schedule was kind of hard to navigate as well, because we wanted, from the grant that she made available to us, we wanted to make sure that she can be there. And so I saw the emails back and forth with my team and the city communications. So we'll pick that back up.
Sounds great. Thank you.
No problem.
And Mr. President, if I might ask Shonda a quick question.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Graver.
For the recreation centers too, so they're open, everybody can come back in, play basketball, that sort of thing. Hillsdale is the one that I'm thinking of, because we have seniors there as well, but also younger kids who come in to use the center.
Yeah, so all of our centers have been open. We had modified numbers. And so what it did for Friday is that we opened full capacity. So people have been playing basketball. All rims are up in the outside courts and people are out.
Yeah. And the seniors can come in and do their meetings. And will the lunches be served at the facilities now rather than offsite, or?
No, unfortunately, the guidelines came back that there could be no food consumption inside the building or outside the building. So we are setting up pickup. So they will have to come pick their meals up and leave. They cannot eat on the property or in the facility as a part of the state guidelines.
All right.
So you may get some phone calls, because we already anticipate a few seniors being very upset about that. And that is not our
right.
rule.
Yeah.
Especially with like Hillsdale, Sullivan, our SARPC locations. So
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we better put up some big signage. Yes, we know. We understand, but
Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much. Madam City Clerk.
08249, approved purchase order to Wilson Dismukes for zero-turn stand-on blowers. Should it be blowers or mowers? Approved.
Ms. Blowers.
08250, approved purchase order to CDW Government for annual subscription to Zoho Managed Engine Network Enterprise Management Software. 08251, approved item-based bid for swimming pool chemicals. 08252, approved purchase order to AutoNation for crew cab pickup. 08253, approved purchase order to Petroleum Traders Corporation for fuel for the Wave Transit. 21254, authorized contract with Backman Russell Electric for Fire Training Center welding shop service. 21255, authorized contract with Johnson Controls for chiller repairs at the Mobile Civic Center. 21256, authorized contract with AltaPoint in support of Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Grant. 21257, authorized Contract with Sunrise Network Solutions for security camera upgrades at the Arthur R. Outlaw Mobile Convention Center. 21258, authorized master services and purchasing agreement with Axon Enterprises for the purchase of body cameras, tasers, and data storage. 60262, approved settlement agreement and release of claim. Essential COVID items being introduced for the first time, 0325.
Madam
Yes,
Clerk?
sir.
Yeah, Mr.
Yes, sir.
President, I would like to see if the Public Safety Director is on or the Chief of Staff. I have a question about 21258. And my question is that I understand that the cameras, the body cameras, would it be on 24/7 or would it just be on once the taser or lights are turned on? And the reason I ask because I have heard of a couple of incidents where citizens had approached or was approached by officers and the lights, wasn't on and et cetera. And was wondering would that conversation ever be be recorded between the citizen and the officer if the lights are not on the patrol car?
Yes, this is Jim Barber, Counselor. There are 3 automatic activations of the camera, and that's when the blue lights are activated, when a taser is activated, and also when a pistol is drawn from a holster. Outside of those 3 automated activations, the officers are required to manually operate, turn on the cameras whenever they're in contact with citizens. There are some exceptions, as maybe when we're interviewing witnesses or victims of crime, but also they are all required, regardless of what assignment they have, to activate it whenever they're taking enforcement action, arrest warrants, search warrants, things like that.
So you said, thank you for the answers. So let me get this clarified. You said there are some incidents where, it would not be recorded for as in witnesses or et cetera?
A good example of that would be talking to witnesses at a crime scene, the initial interviews with them. It's difficult a lot of times for us to get people to tell us what happened, even more difficult if they think it's going to be recorded and shown on TV. Okay.
But any other time that an officer do approach a citizen, they can manually, or they should manually, or they're required to manually turn it on?
That is correct. There are a few exceptions, like I mentioned, but regular routine contact with citizens on traffic stops or interviews or, field stops, those are activated, or calls for service. Okay, then. All right. I appreciate that so much because, again, a lot of times it's the truth, stories is not being told, but, once, the recordings are out, pretty much the truth can be actually told. And I know many incidents where, there should have been body cameras, present. And, we can understand, was it the citizen totally wrong or was the officer totally wrong? And this is, something that's going to be great, for our city. And especially, did we find out, Chief, are we the only city of our size that actually saying that we 100%, equipping the officers with cameras, or what is the next major city? Did anyone check that out? We did check it out and talk to the other cities, especially here in Alabama. But we're unaware of any city that has deployed body cameras to the extent that the city of Mobile has. And the city of Mobile has adopted a policy where all sworn officers are to be issued this body camera regardless of rank or assignment. Okay, and no matter San Francisco or Atlanta, we're number 1, correct? We're unaware of any other city that is deployed to this extent. So a pretty massive deployment. All right, that's great. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Mr. President.
I have a question too.
Ms. Richardson and then Ms. Rich and then Ms. Gray.
Yes, I would just like to say that we seldom see any body camera footage here in Mobile unless someone is trying to attack the police. You
Come
know,
on, man.
someone shooting at the police or something like that. We'll get that footage. But we very seldom see any of the body cam footage. You
Well,
can
just
turn
hold
your
it,
key.
put the lock at the door. It's a great thing.
Okay. You can go on any national channel now, and they got the police in front and center, where they're shooting, where they have shot someone, this and another, and the police department released the video for everybody to see. And we usually come back and say it may be a lawsuit, so we don't want to release nothing because it's evidence. It was evidence in these other places too. So I applaud the effort to issue a body camera to all sworn officers. I just think that is great. That's the right thing to do. But it's not going to help us much if we're not going to see what's on the camera. It's the same thing as having the camera turned off. If we are never going to see what the camera recorded, it's not going to help. The Attorney General ruled, and his ruling was, if the information someone is seeking was gathered by a public employee, it's public information. I don't care how damaging it is. I don't care how good, how much it ingratiates somebody, or how much it demeans anybody. If the information was gathered by a public employee, someone paid for by the people, then the people ought to see that information. So if the information on the body camera was gathered by a police officer, it's public information, and the public ought to have the right to see it. That's all I'm saying.
Ms. Gregory?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate that. I just had one question to go along with this, and I appreciate the information that you've shared about the body cams, and I'm glad to see that all sworn officers will be wearing them. The question I have, though, is about off-duty police officers and how that will be handled with the body cams, because the way it happened before, the officers would come in from their shift and take the cameras off and then store the information, I guess, and then another officer would get the camera. So I'm not sure exactly how all that's being handled, but specifically the question is about off-duty officers and how body cameras will be handled for them.
Yeah, Mr. President, Ms. Gregory, on off-duty can be a difficult situation because sometimes just off-duty, you can unanticipatedly run into a situation where it requires enforcement action immediately, where somebody's life, a serious incident where somebody may be threatened. And so it would be impossible for us to always have a body camera on off-duty officers. But when off-duty officers are scheduled either through overtime to work an event or an extra job, then they are required to wear that body camera and activate it under the same circumstances when they're having contact with the public or when they're having a call for service that they have to answer.
Okay, thanks.
I have some questions.
Ms. Rich?
Chief Barber, on page 23 is a summary of the payments. So on this agenda, we're paying the debit contract N1A. Is that the amount that is actually going to transfer to start this contract? It's a 5-year contract for 6.7 million total. So I know annually it will go into the operating budget. But can that be clarified? Because I thought we would get some of that information.
Yeah, it's a little rocky start because we're in a mid-year implementing this plan. And so the first half-year payment is going to be done through the police department's excess overtime. So that was roughly $666,000. The second component payment is actually for a year and a half, and that is roughly $2 million on that second payment. And then after that, we'll go into a 12-month cycle for the remainder of the contract, which is roughly $1.3 million to complete that 5-year contract.
So in other words, you're adding up the first three lines, the 522, the 144, and the 66. That's what's before us now. Do I have that straight?
I'm not looking at the document that you're looking
Oh,
at.
I'm sorry.
but-
I thought you had.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that is the way it's set up for the initial payments to start. And so once we get past, we got a half a year, then we got a year and a half, and then we go to 12-month cycles, which is a recurring 1.3 million after that. And at the end of 5 years, we'll have to renegotiate with Axon on the next contract.
Okay. I see an ending date of 9/30/2021, which would be September. So
That's
if
the,
it reads backwards, but 1A is actually the second part.
yeah, the contract ending on 9/30 is the partial year payment, which is the 666,000. And then we'll go for a year and a half, 18-month period, which is the 2 million for the second payment.
Yeah,
to
I don't
Exxon.
see the 2 million on the summary of payments. That's what's confusing, because I thought that's what was talked about last time when this came up for the first round, and we were going to get a better breakdown of exactly what was being transferred or was being allocated towards this contract currently. So
Okay, I'm staying corrected. Actually, if you take the 1.3 recurring and add it to the 666 is why the initial $2 million payment.
Next year.
Which is next year.
right. So what's coming?
Yeah,
What are we doing today as far as bringing this
666, right?
to fruition? What amount is actually being given to this contractor to do these services?
The partial year payment, 666,000.
And that ends May 31st, unless these dates are transferred.
September
Because
30th.
it says it goes from 10/1/2021 to 5/31/2021. Are those dates off?
Yeah,
for
it
one
should go
B?
through 2022.
Yeah, I think the dates might be incorrect in our packets.
Yeah, I
I
think the
just-
date is what's confusing, correct.
Okay, all right. All right, people ask us and you're under contract with this same company already, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Let me ask you if I could, Mr. Barber. I'm totally in support of the move that we're making relative to all sworn officers being equipped with a body camera. I certainly think it's the right thing. When you consider where we are nationally, internationally, with community and police relations, it's going to be helpful and beneficial on both sides. And with it now being a requirement, is that going to be a part of the training? And also, will there be consequences to a sworn officer who intentionally does not move forward with this new directive?
So kind of a compound question, President. The first part is, will there be training on it? Absolutely. All officers will be trained. There'll be new policy actually written on it because of the deployment into areas that we've never used, the special assignment areas and the officers with, higher ranking officers. But there will be guidelines on when those cameras have to be activated. There'll be training on the camera system itself. And so the second part of your question, those policies, by the way, will be made public. So you will have access to the policies of the body cam policy. The second part is, are there punitive actions taken for not following the policy? And that is, yes, sir. It's a progressive disciplinary process, but failing to follow those policies is a disobedience of orders and will be handled depending on the nature of the offense.
Yes, sir. Any further questions?
I do have a question, and
Mr. Vice President.
really don't have nothing to do with the cameras, but this question was proposed to me on yesterday. And Chief Barber, how often do our officers do training? Do they do training like once a year or every 6 months or twice a year? And the reason the conversation came up about the situation in Minnesota where the officer had mistakenly pulled out their gun besides the taser. And there was a conversation that was going on, saying, how often all the officers are trained, do they know, the right from the left, or they keep their left taser on the left-hand side and right-hand side to keep their gun? I mean, is that something that's usually that's practiced or go over every year or every quarter? Could something about that, please, if possible?
Yes, sir. The training, in-service training is what after they get out of basic training, the requirement of the state is that there's 12 hours worth of continuous education training, along with annual qualification with their firearms. The Mobile PD does 40 hours of in-service training along with the qualification of the firearm. So that's ongoing. Every officer is required to go through a minimum of 40 hours. There may be some additional training that's done rather than just the in-service training, but all of our patrol officers go through at least 40 hours.
And that's a year?
Every year, annual recurring training.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's good news so I can share and everything. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chief of Staff Barber, and thank you to all of members of the council for some great questions relative to this very important subject matter. Madam City Clerk.
Essential COVID items being introduced for the first time, 03265, reappoint Monica Motley to the History Museum of Mobile Board. 08266, approve purchase order to Precision Delta Corp for ammunition, $21,900. 08267, approve purchase order to Joe Bullard Chevrolet for crew cab pickup truck, $30,086. 08268, approve purchase order to CDW Government for annual subscription to anti-malware software, $43,325. 08269, approve item-based bid for Taser brand electroshock equipment. 08270, approve item-based bid for municipal emergency services for firefighting helmets. 08271, approve item-based bid for Martin Marietta Materials and Vulcan Construction Materials for aggregate. 09272, transfer $10,000 from the general fund to the capital improvement fund for a contract with Volker related to the mobile public safety facility.
Excuse me, I have some questions about that. A while back, the council approved a contract with an outside firm to kind of do a study on this. I'm assuming when you're talking about I guess I have to ask, what exactly is the Mobile Public Safety Facility? Is it that new plan for combining on the Harold Johnson property headquarters?
Yeah, this is Jim Barber again. That is, if you remember, we engaged a group called ADG, Architectural Design Group, to do a space analysis study for a public safety building that will house the Mobile PD headquarters and Detective Bureau, along with the fire headquarters, and it will also house a fire station. And that site survey was done at the current location at Pine Hill and Government. This right now is engaging Volker to complete the renderings of that particular facility, which is something I believe you asked for once before, Ms. Rich, and that
yes,
we actually have something to look at. And so we'll complete that process and be able to show you that hopefully within the next couple of months.
I was under the impression that there were some soil problems out in that area. Has that been cured, or is it still marching forward for the size and scope of the facility?
The geotechnical survey that they did out there did show that it's not an ideal location. It can be built on. It just depends on how much that site work is going to cost in order to build on it, which is all part of this particular study. on whether or not it's feasible to do it at this location and how much it would actually cost to repair it.
Can the council get a copy of the study I take? Is that complete? If they're doing
The
now
geotechnical
drawings?
survey, it is complete. We can send it to you.
That'd be great.
Okay, we'll be glad to send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
21273, authorized contract with McFadden Engineering for spill prevention control and countermeasure plan for 4 city facilities, $33,000. 31274, authorized grant application to U.S. Small Business Administration for the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, Sanger Theater, $983,487.60, no match. 37275, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer on off-premises license for Ohana Poke on Schillinger Road, East South. 40, 276, 277, 278, 279, 280, 281, 282, 283 are fixing the cost for demolition of structures. 60, 284, approve award special bonus to the Parks and Recreation Employee of the Month for April, Jessica White. 09285, reallocate $650,000 from Capital Improvement Reserve account to Mardi Gras Park Improvements account. Announcements.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davis.
the matters I've identified that we would take up today would be 03265, the reappointment of Monica Motley. 31274, the grant application, no match. 37275, the ABC license. 40, 276, 277, 278, 279, 280, 281, 282, and 283, which are fixing the costs. And 6284, the award of the special bonus.
Any announcements from members of
Did
the
you
council?
add the liquor license as approved? I didn't hear that called out. That's 37275?
I did.
Oh, okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Any further announcements from members of the council? Anything from the administration? If not, we'll see each other at 10:30.